Sports Tonight, proudly brought to you by Grant's finest Scotch whisky and Victorinox, the original Swiss Army knife.
In Sports Tonight, Wednesday, November 16, the world's attention turns to football, in particular rugby union fans, on the eve of the World Cup Series announcement. Rugby league fans too. One day it's an Australian Super League, next day it's a World League. Martina finally calls it a day, bowing out of the Virginia Slims, and Mick Doohan, 500cc bikes world champ and Gold Coast ambassador.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Tim Webster. Tonight, all the latest on the Rugby League's new Super Teams plans, all the cricket latest too, Martina's last tournament and the NBA highlights. But first to the Rugby World Cup, and you'll be able to see it here on Network 10 next year with the details of the major announcement. Russell Fairfax in Johannesburg.
Tomorrow morning here in Johannesburg, Toyota will announce that they have won the naming rights sponsorship to next year's World Cup in South Africa. It's Toyota's biggest sporting backing, and it's also the very first time since its inception in 1987 that the Rugby World Cup has gone commercial. While Toyota has supported South Africa's National Club Championship for the past 20 years, their decision to pour in the sponsorship dollar was swayed by the fact that profits will be ploughed back into rugby development programs in disadvantaged communities. The 1995 Toyota Rugby World Cup will bring together the top 16 rugby nations in the world. Australia are reigning champions, having defeated England 12-6 at Twickenham in the 1991 final. Fortunately, the Wallabies have retained much of that successful 91 squad, but they lost valuable players in captain Nick Farr-Jones, Simon Poitevin and Marty Roebuck, all retired in glory. The new 45-man national squad recently spent time in camp at Coolum in Queensland and are planning some altitude training at Falls Creek in the new year. Australia opens the tournament against host nation South Africa on May the 25th at Newlands Stadium in Cape Town. The final will be played at Johannesburg's famous Ellis Park Stadium in front of 70,000 mad rugby fans. And provided the Wallabies win the matches they're supposed to, Australia could be the first team ever to win 2 World Cups. Tomorrow night I'll bring you the finer details of the Toyota sponsorship and what it will mean to the World Cup in South Africa in May and June of next year.
Should mean a great deal, and sports like rugby union and soccer have had big international organisations for a long time now, but it appears rugby league is also moving closer to a world format. It would be a competition with the best of the countries competing, another twist to a complicated puzzle where there's plenty of rumour, but still no confirmation.
ARL Big Chief Ken Arthurson came home from London faster than a Liberal Party leader dropping in the opinion polls. He had a big powwow, everyone lit up the peace pipe, but now the smoke's lighting bushfires and they're out of control. The Big Daddy came today, the Super League was hot and raging, but the World League was enough to overheat the boardrooms of the ARL. The papers are telling us the whole story, so who's running Rugby League? The ARL or News Limited? In case you've been reading the Trading Post or amalgamating your local bocce club for pay TV, here's the lowdown. The World League would bring together the best of the Aussie Super League and the English Super League. Yes, the Poms are joining in on this impressive lineup. Then there's the French, the Kiwis, also the South Africans by the year 2000. It'll start in October of '97, following the Aussie and British leagues. There'll be semis and finals with 22-man squads. Some of the Super Series will culminate in Asia. This new Asia Free Trade Pact sure is winning friends. So, as we said last night, this soap opera is a big rater. But now it's in a league of its own. The scriptwriter's got the flick, Oliver Stone's been brought in. Hey, let's make this Super League thing a mini-series. Then again, there'll be a movie channel on KTV.
Yeah, sounding a bit like Hollywood, isn't it? Are you following all of this? Because I don't think I am. Also in league, the Kangaroo Tour with Great Britain coach Ellery Hanley set to name himself in the side to play the Roos in the deciding test on Sunday.
Hanley stepped down as a representative player last season after his appointment as the Great Britain coach. He continues to play in the English competition and despite turning 33 this year, is still held in high esteem by all players in the league. Only last Sunday he crossed for 2 tries as Leeds narrowly defeated rivals Featherstone Rovers. That made it 5 tries in the last 3 matches. Hanley has 2 players in serious doubt for the Ellen Road clash with Australia. fullback Jonathan Davis and young centre Paul Newlove. But even if they both play, the man they've nicknamed the Black Prince is tipped to take the number 13 jumper off the hook. He's continued to send journalists down the wrong street.
Harry, at one stage there was speculation that you yourself might come back into the squad. Did you consider that?
Yeah, I considered that. But as I said, I think we've still got adequate players to fulfil my boots.
As for Australia, they wound up their final match preparations for the third test with a crushing win over the Great Britain under-21 side. The match was played in bitterly cold conditions, but that didn't stop the Aussies from warming up the crowd with some dazzling football.
In he goes, yet another kangaroo try. Australia's 54-10 win takes their points tally on tour to more than 500. But all those fireworks will count for nothing if they can't win the big one this weekend. Australian coach Bob Fulton is expected to name his side within the next 24 hours. It's expected to be the same side that belted England in the second test.
News just in from the United States. One of China's world champion female swimmers is believed to have tested positive for steroid use. And several other test results involving Chinese women swimmers are understood to be under investigation as possible steroid positives. Now, several sources say world champion Yang Hua has been found positive for elevated testosterone levels in random short-notice testing done before last month's Asian Games in Hiroshima in Japan. Coming up in sports tonight, all the cricket latest, including the new coach of Australia A and later the NBA highlights for this week too. But coming up now, our play of the day, an NBA super shot up there with the very best.
2.3 seconds left in the first quarter. That's Penny Hardaway with the basketball and the jumper from way behind the half-court line, and he nails it. That is just net for the long tray. Take another look at this. Inbounding to Penny. He just spots up and knocks that baby down. That'll be on the anniversary show.
Cricket, and what else needs to be said? Australia's Mr. Cricket, the gun number 3 who played with the world's straightest bat, technically perfect with patience to match, Greg Chappell, now named as coach of the controversial Australia A side for the World Series one-dayers. And he says Australia A will wallop the first 11.
Warne is undeniably Australia's trump card in retaining the Ashes. The temptation to over-bowl him is probably irresistible. Chappell says resting him in some matches makes sense.
But you need a good all-round bowling side. You can't rely on any one bowler to keep winning your test matches. If Australia's to win the series, the test series against England, it's going to need more than Shane Warne bowling well.
As coach of Australia's A team in the coming one-day series, Chappell is looking forward to fostering the wealth of batting talent. With Lehmann, Ponting, Hayden, Love and Blewett vying for inclusion, Chappell believes the team could beat the Australian side.
I'd like to see it happen. It'd be good for the competition. It'd be good for both sides. I think they're going to be pretty competitive games. There'll be a fair bit of emotion in it from both sides. So I think they'll be some of the more willing games of the series.
But he expects a lack of experience to prevent his side consistently defeating Mark Taylor's outfit. And he doesn't believe the second Australian side will lead to a specialist one-day team being picked in the future.
You're always going to have a few variations from your test match side, but I'm not a believer that there is such a thing as a one-day specialist. If you can't play the longer version of the game, then you're going to struggle in the long term to play the shorter version as well.
Chappell won't rule out a pivotal role for himself in Australian cricket in the future.
And to the man who took Chappell's place as number 3 in the first 11, David Boon, tomorrow enjoying a rare opportunity of playing for his home state, Tasmania, in the Shield fixture against Victoria.
I can't actually remember who it was against, but I know it was about 2 seasons ago, so it's been a long time.
David Boon struggles to remember the last time he played Sheffield Shield for Tasmania. He thinks it was sometime in 1992. Obviously, he's looking forward to playing against the Vics at the MCG.
Well, I suppose that's just the state of cricket in Australia at the moment. You've got to accept that if you're playing international cricket, but I always view it that it's great to get back and play for your state, and especially here at the MCG against the Vics, we're looking forward to a good game.
Is that it? Oh, you're walking away, mate? Well, it's going to be hard to score runs, isn't it?
For only the second time in his career, Boon will face Australian teammate Shane Warne in a match. Both men are confident of coming out on top and told each other just that when they had an accidental meeting at practice. The sledging was fierce.
All right, Mr. Boon. See you, Mr. Boon. A great one.
Despite his brilliant test record, Boon admits to being just that little bit more nervous when he takes on arch-enemy England. He says an Ashes series is extra special.
Basically, a test series is is the same no matter who you're playing. It's all very important. But historically, I suppose the Ashes series for both England players and Australian players is probably the tops. And of course, Australia will be looking to hang on to the Ashes again this year, and hopefully in a convincing manner as we have in the last three.
Australia's first big golf event of the summer, the PGA, getting underway tomorrow without a couple of gallery greats, Ian Baker Finch and Wayne Grady. They've withdrawn, injured. Despite that, today's Pro-Am was no less a spectacle at Sydney's tough New South Wales course.
From the links of St Andrews to the magnolias of Augusta, it's hard to imagine a golf course more pleasing to the eye. Set on the sandbelt of Sydney's coastline, the New South Wales club rarely hosts tournaments anymore, but the pros are glad they occasionally get to come back.
The course is just fantastic. I mean, we'd heard rumours that it most probably was in a little bit poor condition, but you know, I played yesterday and it's fantastic.
Most of the field will have hardly seen the 6,300-metre layout before, but they're quickly becoming enamoured of it.
This is going to play tough. I've heard a lot about it previously in years gone by. Never played much golf in Sydney, but this is one of my best courses, one of my favourite already, only 2 days.
A player who certainly won't need a compass to find his way around over the next 4 days is last week's Victorian Open runner-up, Rob Willis. A club member at New South Wales for 3 years, Willis's intimacy with the course might leave the others green with envy.
Well, it could do, yeah. You've still got to play well, even as well as I might know the course. I still need to play well, but if I do, maybe the local knowledge will help me out.
The tournament's star attraction may not turn out to be one of the players. The 177-metre par 3 6-hole contains as much Tasman Sea as it does grass, with the added bonus of a new forward for a hole-in-one on the weekend. But as to a winner, the 7-to-1 favourite to take out the title has only this advice.
It'll blow quite a bit here, and, you know, just keep it out of the tea tree, and you do that, I think you've got a chance of winning.
He's right. I played there today myself. It's absolutely beautiful golf course. And you can see, of course, the Australian PGA live on Network 10 from midday Saturday and Sunday. But coming up at the end of this month, the Greg Norman Holden Classic teeing off at Royal Melbourne, teeing off tonight. Another Sports Tonight mega competition.
Greg Norman, two-time British Open champion, PGA Grand Slam champion, regarded by many as the best all-round golfer in the world. And if you're a golfer and have a handicap, you could play alongside the show. Call 0055 60503 for a chance to play with the Australian star at the Greg Norman Holden Classic Pro-Am on November 29. You'll get 5-star treatment, accommodation, transport and tournament banquet tickets. Plus this, the latest in motoring technology, the brilliant new Nova GS hatch, a stylish mid-size 4-cylinder. And you could win it just by dialing 0055 60503. That's 0055 60503. This magnificent Nova GS hatch up for grabs, thanks to Holden, Greg Norman and 10 Sports Tonight.
Quick little piece of news. Apparently there's been a flare-up tonight between champion cyclist Kathy Watt and national coach Charlie Walsh. Apparently Charlie has called Kathy unsportsmanlike, or I guess to be politically correct, unsportsperson-like. We'll follow up the story for you and have it tomorrow night. Motorcycle racing's 1994 king, World 500cc riders champ Michael Doohan, today picked up just another accolade on the Gold Coast. Doohan is now an honorary tourism ambassador for Queensland's Dollar Mecca.
Despite the rain and cold winds, the crowds flocked to Surfers Paradise Beach to welcome the World 500cc champion, the Gold Coast's own Mick Doohan. And the champ arrived in style. A helicopter dropped him off on the beach where the official welcome was to have been made. But because of the conditions, Doohan and his fans moved to the shelter of Billy's Beach House at Iluka. A parade of Gold Coast motorcycle fans was marshalled by police, real ones, as well as some legendary ones. Doohan was taken back by the welcome and admitted it was great to be home on the coast.
You know, the Gold Coast is such a great place to come from, and it's such a great place to come back to when I'm not travelling around so much, and when we're here testing. It's a good place to just come up here in between tests.
Gold Coast Mayor Gary Baildon made Doohan an honorary tourism ambassador for the Gold Coast, and the new world champion presented a Honda bike to a competition winner. Winning the world crown means a lot to Doohan.
It means a great deal. It means everything I've been aiming for since I started professionally racing, and finally got it. And it hasn't been easy, but not everything is, and I've really enjoyed winning the championship, and hopefully I can try and do it again.
This was Doohan's only engagement in Australia before he returns overseas to begin testing his new machine for the 1995 season.
Well, after 19 years, 167 titles, thousands of memories, it is now finally over. The great Martina Navratilova beaten by Gabby Sabatini in New York's Virginia Slims. The score was 6-4, 6-2, a result overshadowed by a wave of warm applause for the women's champion of champions.
Sabatini is popular, but Madison Square Garden has only one thing to say. They had been restless with anticipation and wonder. This is Martina Navratilova's last singles event. The woman who changed tennis forever hopes to stay for one more match. The first set is tense. As tough as it is for Sabatini to play the villain, 38-year-old Martina is wearied by the years, pressured by the wishes of millions, and all this produces some desperate tennis. Sabatini takes the first set 6-4. Can this career stretch just a little more? Sabatini, who hasn't won a tournament in 2 years, is suddenly the focus of this unreal, uneasy sideshow. With 18 Grand Slam titles, almost one for every year of her mighty career, Navratilova will never be forgotten. New Yorkers make sure a permanent tribute to the legend, as the legend ponders perhaps her last doubles match tomorrow.
So there's a lot of emotions going on in my head and my heart, and it'll take a while to sort them out.
Yeah, and tennis won't be the same either. A lucky 7 start to the NBA season for the defending champion, the Houston Rockets. They remain unbeaten after the first 7 games, surviving a scare today from the Sacramento Kings.
It was the night they honoured Olajuwon as the Rockets' all-time scorer, a timely ceremony too. Houston again began with a scoring spree, 3 quick trays, leaving the Kings a little worried. But Sacramento regrouped and reshaped the game, leading at the half and three-quarter time. But a key play from Hakeem in the 4th quarter turned the tables. Houston got the lead back and held it. Olajuwon finished with 28 points, a 6-point win, leaving the Rockets unbeaten after 7 weeks in the NBA. Now to the play of the day, and Orlando's Penny Hardaway has probably had easier shots than this, but he's never made them look this